I should go up in space. So he continued to sell me on the idea, and bless his soul, Blue Origin took the idea, and I thought, because we were saying, we'll do a documentary, and Bill will go up first, you know, and it'll come back down and say, and so Jeff Bezos said, it's a good idea, it's a really good idea. A lot of time went by, but like a year with COVID and all. All of a sudden he announces, Jeff Bezos is going up in the first rocket. Great, maybe Jeff Bezos and I are going to go up. And then there's an announcement, Jeff Bezos and his brother are going to go up. And then there's an old lady who went up. And then there was a young lady who went up. So finally they came to me on the second thing and they said, all right, how would you like to go up? You'll be the oldest guy in space. I don't want to be known as the oldest guy. I'm bloody Captain Kirk. So I agreed to go. So now, last week, I went to this place in Texas that just goes on forever. I mean, the Texas desert is like the, I don't know, Atacama? Is that the name of the desert in Peru? Or?
Yep.
It's just little bushes. Little bushes all over there. And it rained, actually, while we were there. These little bushes turned green, but you know, and it's mind-numbingly endless. And finally you drive from Houston or something, and you drive 100 miles and another 100 miles, then you get to a little town called Van Horn, and then you turn left. And you drive another 50 miles, and then a guard says, I'm sorry, you can't come in. You got your COVID, for God's sake. So I spent 2 days there last week, and the phrase that they use a lot of was, it's our best guess that... Your best guess? And I love the news. I watch the news all the time, you know. So I'm really versed in what's happening politically, what's happening dramatically, what's happening with people and science. You know, I watched that terrible tragedy of the rocket going up, and it exploded because the O-ring was frozen. There was a limit to what the rubber of the O-ring could stand, and the temperature that morning was right at that limit, like 32 degrees, if I remember correctly. And the O-ring didn't work, and the rocket exploded, killing the people on board. I also remember, what's the name of the telescope? The Hubble. So the Hubble telescope was sent up. I think it was $2 billion. The hopes of mankind. Now it's peering around. Now we're unveiling the Hubble, named after the great astronomer, Dick Hubble, whatever his name was. Hubble, the Hubble. Why we can't see it? What? The people in England used imperial, and the people in America used whatever we use here. They had two different measurements. Our best guess. So I'm looking at all these. Hey, we're human beings who make mistakes. Although, how do you make a mistake if one country is doing imperial and the other is doing American measurements? And then, oh my God, we got the wrong measurements. We have to send 5 guys up there now to replace the focus. And I'm thinking, I'm going up in a rocket. And our best guess is it should be fine. So there's a little niggling fire of terror. I'm terrified. I'm Captain Kirk and I'm terrified. You know, I'm not really terrified. Yes, I am. It comes and goes like a summer cold. I'm fine. No, I'll just lie down there, get weightless for the 2-3 minutes, and apparently Jeff Bezos and his brother and this 81-year-old lady and the kid were throwing candy at each other while they were weightless. So what? You have 3 minutes to look into the access of space and the beauty of this oasis of Earth, and I was planning on pressing my nose against the window, you know, and my only hope was I wouldn't see somebody else. You know, we laughed. Oh, that was funny, and there was a Czechoslovakian acrobat in a furry suit standing on the wing of a 747. You'd think that the little animal would have made it aerodynamic if the ears stood up, and it was hysterical. And then he's looking in the window, which, by the way, from that moment on, every time I took my kids on an airplane ride, they'd say, "Daddy, do it." They would call the what do we call them? What do we call them? Air hostesses. No? Air hostesses. So they say, my kids, 3 girls. Miss, come over here. And I'm like looking out the window. I look out the window and she says, "Yes, sir." And I go. They wanted to go on airplanes all the time. So, we're going into space. But you know, I find either it's early in the morning or it's just before I fall asleep. I make little speeches to myself, like, what am I going to say on that occasion? So I kind of try and get some words that are handy. And I've been doing that because the people who've been to space, or the people who've photographed space, and so there are terms for the little blue orb, you know. What can I say that is different? So I'll try and think of something to suggest how deeply I feel about the experience of looking into that limitless distance, from whence comes a photon of light that's either a particle or a wave. And then I visualize myself looking like, wow, my God, that's unknowable. It's unknowable. 13.8 billion years ago, light years, whatever that is, 100. I mean, light travels 450,000 miles a second. I mean, our brains have been developed to get us out of a tree and find some nuts and fruit, you know, and get away from the man-eating dinosaur. That's what our brains are developed for. We were never programmed to look and say, my God, the mirror, you know, during the Middle Ages, they thought it was a blanket that had little holes in it, space. And they'd look up and say, oh, behind that is the light, because that's little holes in a velvet cloth. Or Queen Isabella, I think the earth is round, but everybody tells me it's flat. So I'd like some money, Queen Isabella, to go around the world and fall off the other end. I mean, that's what people were thinking. And bit by bit, brave people Earth's round. Those little pinpricks, those are stars burning like our sun and exploding with energy beyond count. There's a myriad of things. They see a signal, boom, boom, boom. No, we're being contacted by little green men. No, it's a dying, whatever it was. I knew it once. The No, it's not a white dwarf, and it's not a white star. It's the thing that goes around and sends out an impulse every second or two. What is it? That's the one. Can't do it. But we all know what it is. There's a measurement there. They can measure space by the fact that in any case, I know so little that I don't even want to pretend I know what I'm talking about. But my point is that this blue, white, green, can you imagine? I was going to interview